Yo guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I've got something that is literally requested every single day from you guys for me to do. And it's gonna be a full breakdown of my higher time frame analysis strategy that I use on the markets to basically, almost without fail, every single week, have an accurate prediction of where the higher time frame is going to go. And as a result of that, I'm able to take very, very good and high quality trades on the lower time frame. And guys, when I say that every single day, somebody will either message or comment on one of my videos to make a video on higher time frame, I'm not even kidding. Literally, it's the most requested thing ever. So this might be a 20 or 30 minute long video breaking down everything I possibly can give you about higher time frame. Okay, so first of all, make sure to like the video, make sure to subscribe. And also, if you guys see value in this video and if you learn something from it, then leave a comment below so that I know to make more videos just like this one. But guys, I'm about to go back inside, check out the views in Bangkok, and then I'll go record this video. And after this, I'm actually about to get a flight to an island on Saturday. So the day I'm recording this video, I've got a flight the day after, and then there's a crazy vlog coming when I do that. So much stuff planned, so much crazy stuff I've got planned for you. So let's head back inside and show you exactly how I analyze the higher time frame every single day without fail, which gives me such a high win rate. Now, before we get onto the charts, okay, and trust me, we're gonna get onto the charts, we first of all need to address the underlying cause of why your trading is not actually good at the moment, and it's probably because you're not using higher time frame in the first place. For me, and from my own trading experience, as soon as I was able to use higher time frame, my strategy improved, my psychology improved, my funded account pass rate, my win rate, my success, my ability in trading improved massively as well. And if you're not using it, I can guarantee you that you're not a good trader, or at least you're not as good as you possibly could be. So that's why you need to use higher time frame. It literally makes your journey as a trader 10 times easier because you know where the market is likely to go. You can actually trade in line with the market instead of trading against it. And as a result of doing this, your win rate is going to improve, your confidence, your psychology is all going to improve as a result of that as well. And literally, this could be the thing that changes your trading forever. And I hope it is, because for me, I was able to literally go from failing funded accounts, blowing them, to now moving out to live in Thailand at 20 years old. Now I'm 21, I've been here for over a year. And literally, life's never been better, all from understanding higher time frame. And of course, my strategy, but implementing higher time frame into my strategy to make it the best possible thing I can. So now you understand the importance of higher time frame and why we need to use it in our trading. Let's go onto the charts and actually show you exactly how you can start to use it. Now, the first thing we need to understand, guys, is that when you're analyzing higher time frame, it's not just as simple as analyzing one time frame specifically. For example, just the daily time frame, and expecting that's going to help you to become a trader. That's not how it works. You have to analyze each time frame shown on the screen right here and spend time analyzing each one to the best of your ability. Now, I like to do it by going from the weekly time frame to the daily time frame to the 4 hour and finally to the 1 hour. And when I do this, it gives me such a good and accurate prediction of where each time frame is going, and I can align each time frame with each other. And when they all start to come together, it's like pieces of a puzzle clicking in place. That's the best way to describe it, guys. When you can analyze each time frame and then combine them, that's when your higher time frame analysis is going to become really, really good. So now, when it comes to analyzing the weekly time frame, a very interesting thing that I actually do is I only really like to focus on the most recent weekly candles, okay? So for example, yes, you can always zoom out and look at all of these candles here, but to me, that is pointless. To me, I don't really care about what happened 2 years ago or 3 years ago or last month or the month before that. I don't really care. The only thing I really do when I'm looking to trade is focus on the recent weekly candles, and that's super important to do. A lot of people, when it comes to trading and looking on the weekly time frame, they're so focused on, you know, oh, look, we're trending up like this, right? And they just confuse themselves, right? They're just so focused on the entire thing, especially on the weekly time frame, and it's just too big of a picture to even consider. So I only focus on maybe the last 2 or 3 weekly candles. So what we can do right here actually is we can actually go ahead and draw this out now, right? Let's imagine we're just focusing on, for example, maybe this section of price right here, okay? Now, To me, the obvious thing that you can see just from looking at it is we are trending higher. There's no need to go and break this down in any more detail other than the clear fact you can see we're moving higher. And if you actually go ahead and look right now at this current weekly candle, you can clearly see with certainty that we are going higher, okay? The weekly time frame is clearly bullish, and that's literally just from looking at the weekly candles. There's so much buying volume on this candle, and as a result of that, for this week and probably for next week, I'm only going to be looking for buys. Now, I'm able to understand that from literally just looking at the previous week candle and seeing it has so much buying pressure. So guess what? The likelihood is it's probably going to keep on going higher. That's not with using any market structure. That's not from, zooming out and looking at the entire trend. That's from looking literally at a few different candles within the most recent price section on the weekly chart. Okay, now the next thing we need to understand is where is price likely to go, okay? First of all, we can see that it targeted this high right here. So this week, the target and the draw of liquidity was this high here. As you can see right now, we've clearly closed through it. We're clearly still very, very bullish. So now we need to look at next highs in the market to target them instead. We've got some highs up here, which potentially the market might be drawn towards. And the reason why, by the way, price is going to be drawn towards these highs is because that's just what happens, okay? The market, if you're bullish, is drawn towards highs, and if you're bearish, it's drawn towards lows, okay? And because you can clearly see we're bullish, we can expect price is going to go up towards these highs right here because there's what's known as liquidity resting above all of these highs like this. So if I actually go out and draw liquidity, spelled terribly, but you can see there what I mean. There's liquidity resting above these highs, so it's very likely that price is probably going to go up and take this liquidity out at some point in time. We're not saying it's going to happen this week or next week, who knows, but if we're bullish, this will be the next target, okay? So now that we can establish that the market is clearly trending higher, it's taking out previous structure and it's heading towards future structure, for example, this liquidity point up here, now we can drop down to the daily time frame and actually start to analyze this as well. And guys, I'm just going to literally focus yet again on this yellow box we can see right here, okay? And let's now actually focus on the market structure within this yellow box and show you that we clearly are trending higher, okay? So, what did I say before? I said an uptrend is when we're forming higher highs and higher lows, something like this, okay? And as you can see, we clearly are forming higher highs and higher lows right now on the daily time frame. If you start from here and pull up to here, you got a higher low down here, a higher high right here. It's not ideal though, because ideally you want this to be a body close, but it was just a wick. But let's still count it as a higher low here, and a higher high somewhere up here. Then we have a pullback here, and then we continue going higher up here. So as you can see, the market structure on the daily time frame is clearly bullish. Now, a super big mistake that a lot of people are going to make is they're so focused on supply zones and demand zones, okay? Now, yes, these zones are important. And yes, we do have a super important supply zone right here that did cause a massive move down, okay, as you can see right here. However, and big emphasis on however, because you can see the market is clearly going higher, this supply zone is irrelevant. Don't even draw it out. There's no point even drawing this out on your charts, okay? It's not going to be respected if the higher time frame is bullish. And as we already understand, the higher time frame is bullish, so supply zones are not relevant. And I can't stress this enough. So many traders are going to have the mindset where, oh, we're trending higher, but it might react to this daily supply zone because, oh, it's a daily supply zone. Look at that. Nah, that's not how this works. If the market's going up, it's going up. It's not going to reverse from a supply zone. It's not going to reverse from a fair value gap. It's going to keep on going higher until you can see a lower time frame shift to the downside, which I'll get into towards the end of this video, okay? But the first thing and a very important thing to mention is supply zones, if you're bullish, are not likely to be respected. And as you can see, if you try to sell this supply zone this week on Tuesday, you would have been annihilated because it's clearly against your higher time frame. There's no need to overcomplicate it. Literally, like I did right now, just zoom out, draw out the market structure. You can see we're clearly trending higher, higher highs and higher lows. Supply zones aren't going to be respected. The market's going to be drawn to previous points of liquidity like this high up here. And as a result, guess what? We're only looking for buys. Super simple, guys. And that's how I analyze the daily time frame. So now let's drop down to the 4 hourly time frame. Now, another thing to mention as well is I don't really care about demand zones that are all the way down here, okay? Yes, we're bullish, so we can expect demand zones to be respected, but you also need to use your brain a bit, right? What's the chances that in the next day, price is gonna come all the way down here and touch my demand zone and go all the way back up within a day? It's not happening. So if I'm analyzing this higher time frame right now for the next day, I don't care about this demand zone. Get it off your charts, because a big problem people have as well is they will be looking at everything, right? They're focused on, oh, demand zone here, fair value gap here, right? Another fair value gap here. And then before you know it, the charts are a mess and it doesn't make any sense for you to even draw out these things in the first place because we're not even near them. So forget drawing this, forget drawing this fair value gap here, this one, forget drawing this. Keep your chart simple, and only when you drop down to maybe the 4 hour or the 1 hour chart can you even consider drawing out demand zones for your possible trade entries, okay? There's no point drawing a demand zone from down here if the market is clearly very, very far away from it. There's just no point. And if you're going to be here waiting for this demand zone to eventually get a trade, bro, you're going to be waiting forever. Literally, you'll be waiting forever because that's probably not going to happen. Okay, so now that we can establish the daily time frame and the weekly time frame is clearly going higher, let's now drop to the 4 hour time frame and start to analyze this, okay? Now on the 4 hour, I'm only focused on recent structure, okay? I don't care about anything down here. This is all irrelevant. Get rid of it, forget it, it doesn't matter. The only thing I care about in this example is going to be this sort of area right here, okay? So as you can clearly see, we are very, very, very bullish, okay? Clearly we're trending higher, and super important to do is to basically just look for buys, okay? The only reason and the only way I would look for sells is if we saw a very clear change of character to the downside on the 4 hour time frame, okay? Now, for this example, the change of character is very, very tricky to actually spot because the pullbacks that it's having is very, very small. For example, right, we came up to here, we pulled back to here, we came up to here, we had a tiny pullback, and then a tiny pullback here, and then a move up here. So if I was going to consider sells and even like consider it at all, I would need to see a 4 hour change of character close below this level right here, okay? And unless that happened, I wouldn't even be bothering looking for sells because guess what? The market is clearly going higher, okay? So, and by the way, even at this point here, this here isn't even a great change of character because this pullback here wasn't really that big. So I would probably actually just keep waiting to see really, really big confirmation from a very strong change of character, which I'll probably get into actually towards the end of this video on how to actually spot reversals on the higher time frame as well. Okay, because right now the market's obviously in an uptrend, so reversals aren't really likely to happen, but sometimes the market does reverse, and when it reverses, that's when you need to be able to switch your bias so that you can actually understand that you need to be looking for the opposite thing of what you were initially looking for, okay? But I'll get onto that probably at the end of the video, okay? But yeah, that's the 4 hour, okay? So we can clearly see it's going higher, and we haven't seen a change of character on the 4 hour, so there's no reason at all to look for sells. Now, the next thing I would do though, is I will start to draw out my demand zones on the 4 hour, okay? That are very close to where we currently are. For example, this area right here is going to be a nice demand zone because as you can clearly see, price pulled back and then it started to push higher again with very, very big volume. And this volume actually left a big fair value gap on the 4 hour chart, which you can see shown by this level right here, okay? So we have a big fair value gap here, and the chances are that price is probably going to actually bounce and fill this fair value gap, bounce into this demand zone, and then maybe continue going higher like this. And that's a trade that I would probably consider if we were to see this happen, okay? So yeah, that's what I do on the 4 hour. I don't really care about drawing out anything like this. There's no point, it's too far away. I literally only focus on price action that's very, very near to where we are, which would be this demand zone here and this 4 hour fair value gap here. I'm actually going to quickly get rid of this yellow box here because this is getting on my nerves. So let's just get rid of this. And let's now focus, yeah, just on this right here, okay? So like we've already established, we're looking for buys, and maybe we're looking for buys from this demand zone here on the 4 hour. Now let's drop to the 1 hour and try and refine this demand zone and refine this Ferrari gap, and also see if on the hourly we can find any demand zones closer than this demand zone right here. So now on the hourly, we can see that we can actually refine this Ferrari gap to this level down here, okay? And we can actually refine this demand zone slightly by pulling this in here and actually going to this low right here, okay? So something like that is probably what I would do. And if we were to tap into this, I would then consider maybe looking for buys because it makes sense based off the higher time frame. And as you can see, if we were to tap into it, possibly I might look to take a buy. Now, this is where you guys need to listen up though, because not in every circumstance will I look to always trade with the trend, okay? Some cases, for example, on a Thursday or Friday, it might not be continuing the trend. Now, the reason why this is because if you literally just look at this week, you can clearly see we were so bullish, okay? Monday happened to be down here, okay? And currently it's Thursday, and you can see we've just been trending up the entire week. Now, what this means is, of course, yes, we're bullish, but you need to understand, guys, that when it comes to taking buys, it comes a point where the market is going to have to reverse. It has to pull back, right? And the chances that it continues going higher from here compared to, for example, yesterday down here or the day before down here is a lot lower. And the reason why is because the market will eventually lose its steam. It's eventually going to lose its buying pressure because it's taken out so much liquidity to the upside. So if we actually just zoom out here, right? The market was attracted to this high here. It took it out on Monday, right? So there was a very strong reason for price to go up from this point to target this high. Now it's taken it out. There's less reason to continue going higher. Tuesday kept on going higher, and then Wednesday kept on going higher. But then Thursday, you know, how high can it actually go? Sometimes you do need to use your own source of initiative. And that's why looking for continuations, for example, today on a Thursday or a Friday, is less likely to happen because the market's already seen such massive buying pressure. It could happen, but you also need to understand that trading is discretionary and you do need to use your brain a little bit when it comes to doing higher time frame analysis. And just because we're bullish, that does not mean this demand zone is going to be respected, because we've already seen such a massive move to the upside. There's a chance it might just go lower to have a pullback to then maybe go higher next week. Now, this does not mean I'm going to look for sells. And the reason why I'm not going to look for sells is because there's still no reason for sells, okay? Just because it might go lower doesn't mean I'm going to randomly take sells. Only if I see higher time frame confirmation, such as in 4-hour change of character, would I even bother considering sells. And even at that point, if I'm not liking the look of the change of character, for example, if there's not massive volume causing that change of character on the 4-hourly, I wouldn't even consider it in the first place. So just because the market might go lower, that's not enough to randomly try and time the top of the market and look for sells. That's not enough. You have to be with the trend on the higher time frame all the time, okay? But what it means is I can potentially avoid a losing buy position here because, like I said, the market's clearly been trending higher for so long, it has a very high chance that it needs a pullback and it might not respect this demand zone. And I would need to be very careful trading from here because there's a very good chance the market might want to pull back to take this demand zone out and then continue going higher next week. Now, leading on from this, what you guys need to understand is that the weekly time frame, normally, I'd say about 97% of the time is always going to have a wick on the top like this, and then a body like this, and then a wick on the bottom like this, okay? That's how most weekly candles are going to look. Now, if we can understand that most weekly candles look like this, we can understand that if the weekly candle at the moment looks like this, which it does, super bullish, eventually it's going to have a pullback so that it can come lower and leave this top wick here. That's just market structure. That's just how the weekly candle is, okay? And this is typically going to happen on a Thursday or a Friday at the end of the week if you've been bullish for the start of the week, which we have right here for this example, So now that we can understand the market is eventually going to have a pullback to leave this high wick here, this right here is no longer a high probability demand zone. And the reason why is because buyers are exhausted from the market. And as we mentioned before, Thursday or Friday is likely to have a pullback so that we can form the high wick on the weekly candle. Okay. And of course, if we're likely to have a pullback, that means the market might go through this demand zone and not respect it. So because it's not high probability as I would like, I wouldn't trade this demand zone right here. And I probably won't be trading for the rest of the week based off the fact that the buyers are exhausted. We've come up so much. And yes, it makes sense to look for buys in terms of the higher time frame analysis, but you need to understand the buyers are exhausted and a pullback might happen. So looking for buys isn't actually that high probability anymore as much as it was on a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. Now I'm a bit worried because my camera is actually running out of battery, but I'm going to try to do this as much as I can. And then maybe tomorrow I'll have to finish the rest of the video. But that's essentially the hourly analysis done. And then what I would do is once I can clearly understand my points of interest on the 4-hour and the hourly, and I've established my higher time frame bias on the daily and the weekly, I now would always drop down to the 15-minute and simply wait for these points of interest to get tapped into. So for example, today you can see, okay, we weren't in any sort of demand zone, so there's no point looking for buys. And even if we were in a demand zone, like I mentioned and showed you from the example before, the buyers are exhausted and there's a good chance that Thursday or Friday might reverse and go lower. And if there's a chance that's going to happen, I would not expose myself to the market and I would rather just wait for next week for a higher probability day where that's probably less likely to happen, okay? But basically what I would do now is I would wait for this demand zone here, okay? Based on my hourly analysis, I drew out this demand zone down here and I would see, okay, maybe if we come into this, I might look to take a trade and continue the move higher. However, like I said, there's a good chance it's not going to be respected because a pullback is likely to happen on a Thursday or a Friday, especially after seeing this much buying volume. So that's the analysis done if we're in a clear uptrend. But how about if we're actually about to change trend? That's when the higher time frame gets very difficult. And that's when people are constantly on the wrong side of the market. So what I'm probably going to do, guys, is probably going to go get some dinner, charge up this camera. When I come home, I'm going to have a fresh haircut, and then I'm going to explain to you how to actually analyze the higher time frame so that you can be on the right side of the market for when it does shift to the upside or to the downside after being in an opposing trend. For example, if I just show you right here, the market looked like it was heading down, but after Monday came out, it started a whole new uptrend right here, okay? And understanding that we've now shifted bias is super important to understand in your trading so that you're not on the wrong side of the market, which I'll get into probably in 1 or 2 seconds. I'm going to have a fresh haircut. I will be right back here explaining how to do that. Yo guys, so it's now the next day. I'm going to jump right onto the charts and finish off this video for you guys because I'm actually going on holiday to a very nice special place tomorrow. So I've got to finish this quickly because I won't be at my setup. So let's get this video done. And like I was speaking about before, I was speaking about how to identify when the trend changes, okay? So let's go and look actually at this week, for example, is an amazing week to look at, okay? So let's reverse it to back here, okay? Let's actually reverse it to the start of the week. So that is actually back here, okay? So when I was looking at this week, this is the daily chart. Let's first of all look on the weekly candle, okay? We weren't really showing much signs that we were pushing super high. You can see here we were sort of, you know, pushing higher, dropping lower, pushing higher, and then this weekly candle here closed really bearish. So I would just assume that, you know, we probably would continue going lower next week. That just made sense to me because we weren't really seeing that buying pressure that I wanted to see. And if you look to the left, we were heading in a clear downtrend to the downside. So I kind of thought this was maybe a bit of consolidation before a continuation lower, okay? So going on to this week, I was looking for, basically looking for sells, okay? Now, another reason why I was looking for sells is because we were sort of reacting from this sort of area here, right? You can see we were sort of bouncing off this area. We respected it here. We were respecting it here with a really nice weekly candle close. And actually here,
on the daily time frame, we actually had a daily change of character to the downside here and we closed below it. So that's our confirmation that we were shifting back to the downside. So everything made sense really to go to the downside. And that's why for this week I'm talking about, I was looking for price to go lower, okay? But as you'll see, okay, price didn't end up doing that and ended up shooting all the way up, okay? So now, yes, we of course know that happens, but let's think about how we would approach this without knowing this is going to happen, okay? Now, going on to this week, what you need to understand about weekly candles and how they move, how they work, is if I'm going into this week thinking that it's going to be a bearish week, that we're going to go lower, okay? In order to go lower, we need to go higher first to then drop lower. So my initial thoughts for this week were, okay, maybe we're going to push up higher first to then go lower at the end of the week. And that is still totally fine to expect, okay? Just because you're bearish or your predictions are bearish for the week, a pullback, you know, to go higher first and then go lower makes sense. That's totally fine to see. Okay, so that's what I was sort of thinking was going to happen for this week. Now, on the daily time frame, I identified that we had this fair value gap here. Okay, so I was thinking, you know what? Maybe what we can see is price actually basically come and fill this fair value gap maybe on Monday or Tuesday. And then, like I said, once it's filled it, then continue going lower. So that was my thoughts for analysis for this week here, okay? Now, what we can see, and I've just realized I'm actually on Euro USD accidentally. I should be on GU because that's the only thing I trade, but for some reason I'm on Euro. But the same sort of concepts apply, okay? So that's what I was looking for, something like that. Now, on the 15-minute chart, let's now go and skip to Monday and show you guys what I was basically looking for on Monday. So when Monday came out, like I said, right, I was expecting price to go higher first. So as you can see, price did end up going higher, okay? Now, I didn't trade Monday simply for the reason that, as you can see, we had this big gap here on Monday, right? And the same thing was on GU as well, okay? And here's the thing. Yes, I knew or I predicted price to go higher first, okay? But there was no area to really confidently expect price to reverse from other than the fill of this gap here, which I was waiting for, and then the reversal like this to fill this daily fair value gap here, okay? So I couldn't really trade this. As much as it did work, as much as Asian low here was swept, and then we did see a move up, it wasn't really tradable because I was waiting for the fill of this gap here, okay? This is known as a new day opening gap, which happens when the market opens for a new week. So we saw this gap here, and I was wanting it to be filled before seeing a move up, but that basically didn't happen, so I didn't really look to trade. Okay, and now that we understand what Monday was doing, you can clearly see it was going really high. I'm going to swap back to GU just because GU is what I trade and I shouldn't really be on EU because that was a bit of an accident. So let's swap to GU now. Okay, and now let's go to Tuesday on GU. Okay, so now, as you can see, let's always zoom out. Every single day, you always need to zoom out and always look at the bigger picture. Okay, so as you can see right here, right, after Monday finished, it closed super bullish, right? And this for me was a red flag. If I was thinking we were going to go lower, okay, maybe I was expecting a pullback like this, something small, but the fact that we were so bullish on Monday, it made me really cautious to look for sells on Tuesday. I know I said I was looking for a move lower, okay, towards the middle of the week, Tuesday or Wednesday, right? But after Monday was this bullish, and, you know, that was basically an indication for me that maybe my bias is wrong. Maybe we're reversing, okay? Maybe we're going to continue going higher. And after seeing that, that's when I basically decided, you know what, let's actually hold off from taking any sells until we can see confirmation we are going to go lower. So now let's go back to the 15-minute time frame and go to Tuesday, okay? And you're going to see here what happened on Tuesday, okay? And also keep in mind here, we've taken out the previous week high, okay? So what you can expect once you take out the previous weekly candles high is you can expect to move to the downside. However, you do need to see confirmation first, okay? And like I said, the daily candle was really way too bullish for me to consider selling that right now because yes, we've taken out the previous week high, but we haven't seen confirmation that we're going to go to the downside yet, okay? A big mistake people make is they're like, oh, we've taken out previous week high, let's look for sells. No, like I understand why, because you do expect this week to be bearish, so you are looking for sells on Tuesday or Wednesday, expecting this to be the high of the week. Sure, that is fine. That's literally what I was thinking. However, Monday was so bullish, okay, that does need to cause alarm bells in your head that maybe price isn't going to go down yet, okay, and you do need to wait for confirmation. So I wasn't looking to sell on Tuesday, and I was basically waiting to see what Tuesday did. So as you can see, if we play out Tuesday, right, Tuesday was extremely, extremely bullish yet again. It just kept on going higher. So of course, I was not looking to take any sells because like I said, we haven't seen confirmation that we're going to go lower. So literally just left Tuesday. And as you can see, price kept on rallying higher, and that basically takes us to Wednesday, okay? Now, yet again, am I looking for sells? No, okay? Because you can clearly see the market is clearly trending higher. You always need to zoom out, look at the daily time frame, and you can literally see, even though I was looking for sells, right, at the start of the week, they no longer make sense at all, because as you can see, we are clearly pushing higher with massive buying volume, right? Taking out these highs and closing above these highs. And this here is actually a weekly change of character, okay? And then I drew out this supply zone here because it made sense that if we're going to continue to push higher, we can probably target this supply zone here. So do you see how important it is to be able to switch your bias? Okay, yes, I was looking for a price to be bearish for this week, but as soon as I saw Monday, I was able to flip my bias and now expect price to go higher, okay? So that's basically what I was looking for. As you can see, price kept on going higher and I just didn't want to take any sells, okay? And there you go. It just literally, this whole week has just been going higher and higher and higher. Wednesday, I'm pretty sure was a very, very bullish day. Yeah, so you can see if you try and sell this, you would have lost. If you sell here, you would have probably lost, right? Now that takes us on to Thursday. And on Thursday, you can see it was actually really just consolidation day. And on Thursday, all right, I was looking for buys. Okay, so I've got this demand zone drawn out. Today's actually Friday at the time I'm recording this video, so really recent to where we are right now in the market. But I drew out this demand zone here, okay, and I was looking for potential buys from here. But as you'll see, guys, okay, I didn't end up taking this trade simply for the reason, okay, that I did think that buyers were probably exhausted, okay, by the time we came into this demand zone. And that's the thing you also need to understand as well, is the market's literally gone so high up. This was about 400 pips to the upside, okay, right, as you can see here, 350 actually, or 320. But we've gone really high up, okay, and yes, I was looking for this demand zone here, but I was also considering as well that we might fill this value gap and tap into this bigger demand zone here, which was an hourly demand zone basically down here. So that's sort of what I was looking for there, okay? I was waiting for the best demand zone because I did sort of think we might be heading a bit lower to see a bit of a retracement because we have been really, really bullish. So I didn't want to trade this just because it wasn't a Class A setup. And then as you can see, we did get a bit of a reaction from it, but literally the whole day was just really, really consolidating, no volume. And after I saw this, I decided, you know what, there's no point trading at all, okay? Now, that basically leads us on to Friday. Today is Friday, today's NFP day. And as you guys obviously know, I wouldn't be trading NFP day. There's no point. When it's high impact news, it's best to literally just come off the charts. And as you can see right here, it looks like we've taken out the previous day high and now we are starting to see a move down, okay? However, I didn't want to take a sell here because it was NFP. But what's interesting is I did actually send this into my community. You guys can actually see if I go to my community right here. I sent this prediction in. I did say to them, I'm not looking to trade it, okay, because it's NFP. But as you can see right here, okay, my predictions for NFP, here you go. I literally sent this in like 5 hours ago, 4 hours ago, you can see there at the top. And look at that. Like, is that not perfect? Like, you know, yes, I didn't trade, but the predictions itself were still correct. And, you know, it's because I do understand how to trade, of course. But sometimes, guys, even if you know what the market's going to do, if there's high impact news like NFP, like I said here, it's not worth trading, okay? So that's essentially it, guys. That's essentially the high time frame breakdown. I think this video is about 30 minutes long. So really, really long video, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I hope you guys learned something from it, okay? Now, of course, understanding high time frame is very, very difficult. And I hope you've definitely picked some stuff up from this video, okay? But the best way to learn, right? And this isn't just me saying this, but the best way to honestly learn is to just watch me trade every single day. Every single day in my community, I send in my analysis, I trade live every single day, I analyze from the top to the bottom every single day for about half an hour. So imagine watching this video, but you're watching it every single day for the rest of your life, of new market conditions every single time. You will learn how to trade, okay? And that's essentially the best thing to do. If you're looking to join a community like that, where you can watch me trade live every day, then hit the first link below in the description to apply. But other than that, no pressure to apply. I just hope you guys did see value in this video because I did put a lot of effort in. And if you guys enjoyed it, then let me know in the comments, please. And make sure to leave a like because this video did take me, quite a long time to record and everything. So, I appreciate you guys watching to the end. If you enjoyed it, let me know. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.